Good afternoon. It's my absolute pleasure to share with you some hopefully good news during these times of significant illness and stress within our population regarding COVID-19. As we know, we've had rapid increases in patients who require a machine to assist with their breathing, a ventilator, and there can be an acute shortage of the necessary ventilator equipment to meet the needs of our population. I'm pleased to announce today that Prisma Health has just received emergency use authorization from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration for the use of a single ventilator expansion splitter tubing device. Prisma Health experts are working with national COVID-19 teams who have no more ventilatory capacity and can initiate emergency use of the prototype in the near future. We'll be working closely with these teams during the field testing to monitor clinical outcomes, and those field tests will help us determine whether the device performs as designed per the FDA guidelines. Emergency use authorization can offer us critical care patients access to a medical device that has not been approved through the usual processes and is available when there's no comparable or satisfactory alternative options for our patients' care. This type of authorization is used only when no comparable or satisfactory alternative means are available in times of critical public health needs. We believe the VESper device can be life-saving when the number of critically ill patients requiring ventilator or breathing support is greater than the number of ventilators that are available to support them in the clinical setting. Officials have forecast that numbers of hospitals in certain areas of the nation or hotspots are beginning to experience ventilator shortage during this COVID crisis. I'd like to now share the podium with Dr. Marjorie Jenkins, who will lead us a little bit more about the thoughts leading up to this and some of the next steps. Marjorie?
Hello. Well, this really did take a village. From one of our emergency room physicians here at Prisma Health and also a faculty at our School of Medicine here in Greenville, Dr. Sarah Ferris. She came up with this idea. She told her husband, Ryan, who is a software engineer, about it and asked him if he could write some code to 3D print this device. And after, he says, a couple weeks of bugging him, he finally gave in and got it done. And they reached out to a brilliant pulmonologist, Dr. Antin Setwin, who also has contributed greatly to the development of the clinical protocol. Dr. Alan Litwin are in Dr. Tilkmeyer's department. So once they did that, they went to colleagues at Clemson University who printed the first prototype, and then they approached me. I had some experience at FDA, having been there for about 4 years, and they asked could we help navigate this through the agency. So reaching out to the agency at 10 o'clock on Friday night, and then we had a meeting with Dr. Jeff Shuren, who's the director of the Center for Devices and Radiological Health, and his team the next afternoon. And by Monday at noon, he and his team had managed to give us the approval for emergency use authorization. What that means is that this device is to be utilized only during this pandemic and according to the restrictions that Dr. Tilkmeyer has shared with you. So drawing on the strength of Prisma Health's academic partnerships with the University of South Carolina and Clemson University, the physicians, the engineers, and others who all came together to really make this happen. We realized we had an opportunity to impact patient outcomes all over the country by developing a device that would have regulatory oversight. Today, I reached out to one of our foundations, the Sargent Foundation, and they have given us a generous donation to help print the first orders for those who do not have 3D printer capacity. Anyone can go to a website and download the code and print this according to the specifications. We want to get this out there, but some will not have that opportunity. And so we've reached out to some companies who will also be helping us to print and ship to those in need. So what we needed was a collaborative team. We have generosity. We have seen people giving things time and time again over the last few days. So with that in mind, we are ready to share the VESper device with the world. And I will now turn it back over to Dr. Telkmeyer. Thank you.
Thank you, Marjorie. Producing the device truly has taken the village that Marjorie spoke to. We've made new friends around the United States in short order. Those have included some of our industry partners from Hewlett-Packard, Azimuth DS, and Salesforce, who have allowed us the opportunity to develop the necessary infrastructure to produce and hopefully distribute shortly in a network of providers and manufacturers the VESper device for clinical trial work. It is important to note that this is only for those areas that are in greatest need and areas with the potential to exceed their ventilator capacity due to patients affected by COVID-19. Prisma Health is clearly not mass producing these devices, although it is making a small quantity as we set up others for mass production in order to meet the need for those who are not able to produce using their own 3D printers. Please note that it does take specific requirements for those printers. Those requirements are available on the website, and people who want to download the code will need to qualify their printing devices to ensure that we have high quality moving into our patient trials. Prisma Health and South Carolina hospitals presently have enough ventilators available for our patients. That's really good news. We are very fortunate in that regard, and there are many parts of the country that are approaching a point where that won't be the case. Hospitals can begin to apply to receive the free source code and printing specifications for this device at the conclusion of this news conference. They will register on the Prisma Health website, www.prismahealth.org/VESper, capital VESper, for their use in printing the VESper device. We want to thank you very much for helping us spread the word. It is an important development in looking forward to the future of how we care for our patients in a time of critical shortage and need. I'll be happy to open it up for any questions at this time. Thank you.
So I will say that in my email thread today, questions were asked of me about what critical need meant and how this device would be implemented in the field. And what that means is that if you are out of ventilators and the issue is to not ventilate someone who needs life-saving support, then the VESper device will allow you to share a ventilator among patients. The alternative with this disease, because of the acute respiratory failure that you have, is almost a certain death for that patient. So that is what critical need is, and that is why this was so rapidly approved. And we do need people to use this and to give us clinical feedback as well. And we have a mechanism for that on the Salesforce platform.
We have a few questions. The device works by attaching to the ventilator in a circuit such that it splits the two circuits out to the patient. We can adjust the ventilatory flow out to the patients to optimize their flow of oxygen, as well as the pressures at which they receive that oxygen. The other question that's here is regarding Sarah Ferris.
She is an emergency room physician at Prisma Health Upstate, and she is also a clinical faculty member at the University of South Carolina School of Medicine in Greenville.
The production of these depends a lot upon the type of printer that you utilize. On a small scale printer that was available at Clemson, we could produce about 12 in a batch. When we talk to our large scale producers, they can produce thousands in a day. And the physician who came up with the idea is that very smart emergency room physician, Sarah Ferris, And as mentioned, she's an emergency room physician here at Prisma Health Upstate in the University of South Carolina.
And Dr. Antine Setwin, who was the pulmonologist that developed the clinical trial, and she and Dr. Ferris did a lot of the work in the simulation center to test the device. I think as we've been hearing in the news over the past few days about sharing ventilators, that this is such a timely release of this device into the public domain because it is sorely needed.
And as you can tell, a clear effort of a village. I have never, in my 35 years of medicine, had the pleasure of seeing a village come together so quickly. This is probably more than a village. It's probably a small city that's been brought together to make this happen. I can't express my gratitude more so than my very deepest to all of those who've worked tirelessly since 2.5 weeks ago when the idea was sprung to help bring us to the moment where we're able to offer it for clinical use in patients today.
And I will also say that the team did work remotely. We practiced social distancing. So we were on Zoom for hours at a time and FaceTiming throughout the weekend to try to bring this to fruition. So in all of this crisis, I think we see just the best of humanity in doing things like this to try to save lives.
And little detail work. Dr. Ferris is spelled Sarahfaris, and I believe we have a packet coming out online shortly with greater detail. Full name of the device is VESper, as in capital V, capital E, capital S, small PER, standing for Ventilation Expansion Splitter. We are certainly able to share this globally. Anyone who has a printer who meets the requirements, we will be happy to share it with them. In fact, I have colleagues in Italy, and we have been in contact. They are looking for these kinds of answers to help them take care of the patients that are so much in need in Italy today.
And please visit the website. You can also Google VESper, and you can find the webpage there, and there will be images available to you.